Welcome all of you for today's session. So in the last class, we had covered the path for the AOD. And in today's class, we'll discuss few examples, few questions on that. And also we'll try to cover the Rolle's theorem, which is very, very important. And if there will be time, we'll also cover the LMVT. So definitely, if we are not able to cover LMVT in this class, we'll try to cover it in the next class. So all these things are very, very important, both the Rolle's theorem and the LMVT from JEE point of view, from both mains and advanced. So let us try to discuss what are these theorems and how we are going to apply them in the examples. So let us try to begin with that. So in Rolle's theorem, you must have three conditions for a function to follow to apply Rolle's theorem. So basically, those three conditions are: first one, the function f is continuous in the closed interval a to b. This is the first condition. Second is the function f is differentiable in the open interval a to b. And the third condition is the boundary values should be same, that is f of a equals f of b. So if we have a function which follows these three conditions, then we can apply the Rolle's theorem. So it is being applied in an interval actually, right? So what it says is, when we are discussing that there is some x which lies between a and b, so we say that f dash c, where c will be lying between a and b, equals 0. Or we can write this in the statement form, which is very, very important, that f dash c equals 0 for at least, this is important, for at least one value of c belongs to the interval AB. So this word at least is very, very, very important, extremely important, because it says that for at least one value it is happening, right? It can be for more than one value. So wherever you have the questions that which ask about at least one root, right? Whenever there is a statement like this, so it simply means that it is talking about Rolle's theorem directly or indirectly. So we'll try to take one or two examples of this. But to understand this for a while, before that example, let us say we have any curve, right? So let us draw any curve. So if you draw any curve which is continuous and differentiable in these closed and open intervals, let us say we have this curve. Now, and it is saying that f of a equals f of b. So we have to come to this same level, right? Because both of them are same. Now in this condition, if you try to see that, here you will definitely find something or some value where f dash c will be equal to 0. So it simply means that there will be a line or there will be a tangent which will be parallel to the x-axis. It has to be. For example, in this curve itself, when you are moving up or down, right? We are just taking one scenario. So let us try to take a very simple scenario where we have just this function, right? So in this case, when you are moving up and then you are moving down, since the function is differentiable, the curve has to be smooth, right? So if the curve is smooth and it is moving from here to here, so it will be having the tangent which will be parallel to the x-axis for sure. Now this is happening for at least one time. This is what theorem says, which is absolutely true, because it can be for more than one time. Let us say the curve is like this, and then again we are moving to the same value. So the tangent is parallel to the x-axis many times in this case, right? Here also, and here, right? So in these, all these cases, 1, 2, 3, 4, the tangent is parallel to the x-axis. But when you are moving from this point to this point, so at least one point you should get where the tangent will be parallel to the x-axis, which is f dash c equals 0. So this means that for at least one value of c, this will be happening, and where c is lying between the point a and b. So from the graphical thing, you can also make out that this statement is true and why this is true. So that is why we are talking about at least. It can have any number of tangents which are parallel to the x-axis. Of course, if you will look at the theorem, it will seem that it is very very obvious. What is the point that ये मैं भी देखूंगा तो मेरे को पता चल ही जाएगा कि ऐसा तो नहीं होना है ना? It is just that this person has observed it before you. That's it, right? Try to understand. So the question is, prove that the equation x cube plus x minus 1 equals 0 has exactly one real root. Although you can prove this without even using the Rolle's theorem, but try to use the Rolle's theorem so that we know the application of this. See, one way is absolutely fine, that we have already covered that part, right? And that is basically, you have this function, let us say this is fx. So clearly you have f dash x equals 3x square plus 1. Now this is always positive, function is always increasing. Since the function is always increasing, and you know that the coefficient, here you have x cube. So if you put minus infinity, it will go to minus infinity. If you put plus infinity, it will go to plus infinity. So from minus infinity, it is going to plus infinity. So it will definitely cut the x-axis somewhere, and it will cut only once because this is an increasing function. So it has exactly one root, right? That is fine. We have already discussed that that thing. We can do that question with that method. But try to understand how we can utilize this Rolle's theorem. Just try to understand one simple point, and that point is, here, understand the statement of the Rolle's theorem. It is saying that we have such and such function, continuous differentiable, and f of a equals f of b, right? So we have this kind of function. Then it says about the root of the derivative. Understand this point. Here you are directly thinking about the root of the function, right? X cube plus x minus 1 equals 0 has exactly one root. In Rolle's theorem, we talk about the root of the derivative, not of the function. So try to think in that perspective, you will get the answer. Now here, it is talking about a root of x cube plus x minus 1. Now this x cube plus x minus 1 is basically the derivative of a function, right? This is f dash x. F dash x is given to us. So basically, if this was f dash, let us say this was g dash. So actually, the point to note was, you have been already given the derivative x cube plus x minus 1, right? Now, if you want to find out the function, you will have to integrate this. So g of x equals x raised to the power 4 by 4 plus x square by 2 minus x, right? And regarding the constant, you can add if required, right? Because you will have to take the function according to yourself. Now what you will do is, with this, you will find out some value where this g of a will be equal to g of p, which you can observe. If you can observe, that is very good. And then you can apply the Rolle's theorem in a g of x, right? So what earlier you were doing, you were trying to apply the Rolle's theorem g dash x. That is the derivative you are given, because we talk about the root of the derivative itself. This is the derivative given. We have arrived at the function. Now we will look what to do. This g dash x, so this is gx and this is g dash x. G dash x is not always positive or not always negative. So it means that g of x will increase or decrease for some values. Let us try to draw just a rough diagram. Let us say it is increasing, then decreasing, right? Because it is not always positive or always negative. So it will have at least this interval you can easily get. It is A to B. So two values, it will definitely repeat, right? Because it is not always increasing or always decreasing. So let us say these are the values of A and B. So you have g of A equals g of B. Clearly this function is differentiable and continuous. So you will say that g dash C is equal to 0 for at least one value of C belongs to AB. For at least one value, right? Now the important point is that Rolle's theorem does not talk about the exact roots, right? So it is saying that fine, there will be at least one root for g dash C, which is this. This is g dash x, right? So there will be at least one root. It is saying about at least one root. So, but we cannot conclude with the Rolle's theorem that this will have exactly one root. When we have to find out about at least one root, so in that case, what we are going to do is we will be actually finding out another way of using somewhere the Rolle's theorem itself. So let us try to utilize the Rolle's theorem in a different way to find out whether this will be having exactly one root or not. And as we have discussed, what we can say is clearly, first of all, this is, let us say, not the derivative, but f of x equals x cube plus x minus 1. Now, clearly, if we try to see that f of 0 is equal to minus 1, f of 1 equals 1. So the function, there is a continuous function which is going from value minus 1 to plus 1. So it will surely cross the x-axis. From this, we have that this function is having some root, right? Let us say that root is mark that root, let that root be C. This is A, and let's say this is B, right? Now, when this is happening, so it simply means that if there is any root between A and C, let us say, because this is a point A and this is a point C, we have to prove that this is not having more than one root. Fine. Now, let us assume it is having one more root. Let us try to assume, let us say there is one more, let alpha is 1, or let us say alpha is other root other than C. Let alpha is other root between this A and C, right? Similarly, we can do for B and C. This means one and the same thing. Now we have assumed that there exists a root, right, between this A and C, just to see that whether this is really true or not, right? So f of alpha is equal to 0. We already know that f of C is equal to 0, right? This we know. Now understand one thing. You have f of alpha equals 0, f of C equals 0. So now f of A is equal to f of B, right? This is following this condition. This is A and here this is B. So f of A equals f of B equals 0. Now in this case, what we have is, we can say that there exists, this is a symbol for there exists a beta belongs to alpha, belongs to alpha and C, between alpha and C, such that we have f dash beta equals 0 according to the Rolle's theorem, right? This will happen. Now let us try to see what is the f dash x actually. Now the f dash x is equal to 3x square plus 1, which is always positive. So this is never happening, right? Since this is never happening, so it clearly says that the assumption f of alpha equals 0 was wrong, right? F of C equals 0, this we had proved convincingly by saying that f of 0 equal to minus 1 and f of 1 equals 1. But when we assume that alpha is another root between A and C, or you can take it between B and C, so f of alpha should be equal to 0. And having said that, according to the Rolle's theorem, if we have f of alpha equals f of C, then there must be a root between alpha and c. Let us say that root is beta, root of the derivative. So f dash beta should have been 0, but we know that the derivative is always positive. It is having no roots. So it simply means that the only root that we had earlier discovered, that was c, was correct, and there is no root or no other root apart from c, right? So this is how we can prove using the Rolle's theorem also for exactly one root in this manner. So this question is based on the Rolle's theorem itself. Find let fx and gx be differentiable. We have been given the interval of x, f of 0, g of 0, f of 1 are given. F dash c equals 2 times g dash c, where c belongs to 0 to 1. So in this interval itself, we have to find out the value of g of 1. Let's go थोड़ा सा और precise में लिखना चाहता था, आप लिख सकते हो. This is not true for all values of c, है ना? For some c belongs to 0 to 1, ऐसा लिखा हुआ है. This is not true for all values. So f dash c equals 2 times g dash c. So from here we can get a little idea that this we can write down as f dash c minus 2 times g dash c equals 0. So if we have assumed a function, let us say phi of x equals f of x minus 2 times g of x. So clearly we have phi dash c equals 0 for some c belongs to 0 to 1. This is what we have been given. Now, so what we'll do is this, the derivative is 0. So we'll try to apply the Rolle's theorem for this. If possible, let us try to see that fx minus 2 times g of x, right? So we'll try to relate it with that. Now, between 0 to 1, so let us try to find out what is phi of 0. So phi of 0 is, this is f of 0, which is 2, g of 0 is 0. So phi of 0 is 2. We have phi of 1. So phi of 1 is f of 1, which is 6, minus 2 times g, g of 1 तो हमको निकालना है, 2 times g of 1. So now we have phi of 0 equals 2, phi of 1 equals 6 minus 2 times g of 1. अब यहाँ पे एक चीज ये है कि अगर हम ऐसा कर दें कि phi of 0 और phi of 2 के बराबर हो जाए phi of 1 के, so clearly the Rolle's theorem is applicable and phi dash c equals 0 where c belongs to 0 to 1. That is absolutely fine. Now, this is what we can do, right? But if we try to think this phi of 1 is equal to phi of 0, what is there is only one condition, that phi of 0 has to be equal to phi of 1. Otherwise, this won't be happening, right? Then we can convincingly say that phi of 0 equals phi of 1 is the only possible solution for this, right? Try to understand. If there is no other way by which this can happen, right? So to make you understand, I will just give you a very simple example. Let us say phi of 0 equals 2. So here we have the x-axis. This is 0, right? And this is 1. Phi of 0 is 2, fine, right? Now, what we can say is, if we have a function where this will go from here to here, everything is satisfied, right? It looks good. But if apart from this, let us say we have some other function where, let us say it is moving like this, right? So in this case, this phi of 0 is not equal to phi of 1, but still phi dash c is 0 for some c between 0 to 1. Understand this point. So can we convincingly say that phi of 0 equals phi of 1 is the only possible solution for this to find out the value of g of 1. Try to understand and then answer this. So what we can conclude here is basically the first thing that if we try to do is that one possibility, right? So we'll say that this is a possibility, not a definite answer. So one possibility is that phi of 0 equals phi of 1. जब ये दोनों बराबर हो जाएंगे तो क्लियरली कितना आ गया g of 1. This will be equal to this. g of 1 equals 2. So g of 1 equals 2. अगर ऐसा हो जाए, if g of 1 equals 2, then we say for sure this all scenario, the whole scenario is perfect, right? लेकिन ऐसा नहीं कहेंगे हम कि this is the only possible thing or this is the only possible value for g of 1. It will depend upon the function, right? So g of 1 will surely be one of the answer. G of 1 equals 2, right? There is no doubt, right? Because if you try to see that if you start from f of 0 equals 2, then you drop at g of, that is phi of 0 equals 2, and phi of 1 as also 2, which will be only happening when g of 1 equals 2. So that is a situation where you will be sure that this is happening. Fine. But the only point here is to understand that this will not be the only possible thing that will be satisfying this entire function. There can be other values depending upon the function g, as we have seen. So here in this case, this was the value where phi of, let us say, this x1 was equal to 2. So phi of x1 was 2. Phi of 0 was also 2. And in that interval, you can easily find out a c where phi dash c equals 0. Still, g of 1 is not equal to 2 in this case, right? So again, to conclude, g of 1 equals 2 is the answer. That here, if you have g of 1 equals 2, the function, all the values are perfectly satisfied, right? This is one of the answer. There are other possibilities also where g of 1 can be anything else apart from 2, and still everything will fall in line, right? So I hope this thing is absolutely clear, that conceptually this thing is cool, because if the option is given, let us say the one of the possible values of g of 1 is this, right? That is 2, right? Or if in a way it is given that what is the value of g1, right? That can certainly say that this all of these thing is being satisfied, right? G of 1 equals 2 certainly says this function or this entire question, everything that is given will be satisfied, will be in line. But let us say here g of 1 equals 1. So we cannot say for certain that always the derivative, or we'll find something in between, right? We cannot, right? We may or may not. So g of 1 equals 2 is one of the solution, right? So I hope this thing is clear. So there should be no confusion in this. So this is also a similar question, but we have options given. So we'll also work out according to the options. If f and g are differentiable functions and you have been given the values f of 0, g of 1, g of 0, f of 1. So all four values you already have been provided. What we can use is if we want to find out, so see here, then for some say this happens whenever you have a constant and the derivatives, all these things are getting involved. So you will have to use the Rolle's theorem. So now in this case, again, but for Rolle's theorem, you need to have the condition that f of a equal to f of b, or any function that you have, right? Now, if you try to explore the options, right, you'll have to take hint from the options for sure. Let us say, as in the previous case, we have assumed a function. Now, if you try to see that you have any function, let us talk about option A, right? So in the option A, we can assume the function phi of x equals 2 times fx minus gx. We can assume this function. Now, the rest of the things are given to us. F of 0 equals 2. So from this, I have phi of 0, which is 2 into f of 0, which is 4, minus g of 0, which is 0. So this comes out to be 4. Now, we will look for phi of 1. So phi of 1 is 2 times f of 1, which is 12, 2 into 6, minus we have g of x, that is g of 1, which is again 2, which is 10. So here phi of 0 is not equal to phi of 1, right? So similarly, we'll try to explore the options, right? This is the best thing that we have in hand. Now, let us try to explore the other options where we can assume a function. So the point is, you have to assume some function so that you can differentiate that. In the option C, f dash c equals g dash c, so you'll assume the function fx minus gx. And clearly, if you try to see for the fx and gx, the values for both the functions are not same. So option C is automatically ruled out. So option A खत्म हो गया, option C भी खत्म हो गया. अब यहाँ पे this and this are gone. Let us try to check option D. So in option D, you will have the function phi of x equals f of x minus 2 times g of x. So phi of 0. F of 0 is 2 and g of 1 is also 2, right? So g of 0 is 0. So this is 2 minus 0, which is 2, and phi of 1, which is f of 1, which is 6, minus 2 times g of 1, which is 4. So this is also 2. Fine. Great. So we have f of phi of 0 equals phi of 1. So we can apply the Euler's theorem and we'll say that phi dash c will be equal to 0. So which means that f dash c minus 2 times g dash c will be equal to 0, which means option D is correct. Since this is a single correct answer, you don't have to look for other options. So just try to look up for the options which you think can make it to f of phi of 0 equals phi of 1, right? Don't try to explore all the options. First of all, move to those options which you think can give me equal values, right? This question has already been asked in IIT JEE, right? So let us try to solve a few more questions. So the question says that we have to find out the range of maybe range or maybe some value, the real number k for which the equation this has two distinct roots in the interval 0 to 1. So first of all, in this we have this function, and if we take the derivative, we have 6x square plus 3, which is always positive. Function is always increasing. So the thing is that it will cut the x-axis only once between 0 or 1, right? It will depend upon the value of k, but for sure it will not cut the function. It will not cut the x-axis twice, right? Because the function is always increasing. So we have, for any value of k, it cannot cut the x-axis twice. So with this, we can say that there is no value. But if you try to utilize the Rolle's theorem, the point is that this is the cubic, right? So when you put minus infinity, so it will reach minus infinity, and when you put plus infinity, so it will reach plus infinity, right? This is a similar question that we used x cube plus x minus 1, if I'm correct. So here in this case, you know that this is having one root, right? Because it is moving from minus infinity to plus infinity. And let us say the root is alpha, right? We have f of alpha equals 0. So when we try to utilize the Rolle's theorem in this is the root. Same situation we are having. Let us say this is a, right? A can be any value, and let us say this is b. Now let us say that there is another root which lies between a and alpha. Let us say that is beta, right? So if we say that there is another root, if we say that there is another root f of beta, we have assumed that, let us say this is having another root f of beta. So if it is having two roots f of that is alpha and beta, then according to the Rolle's theorem, there has to be the derivative f dash, let us say some c, equals 0, where c lies between alpha and beta. But if you try to see f dash x is always positive, there will not exist any c for which f dash c will be equal to 0. So it implies that the assumption that f of beta equals 0 or beta is another root is absolutely wrong. It is similar to the question that we have already done in the first question. Just see that if it is not required that you always directly or indirectly use the Rolle's theorem, in this question the better approach is that just take the derivative, and we have seen that this is increasing. So if this is increasing, so, and this is cubic, we know that it will move from minus infinity to plus infinity. This will cut the x-axis only once, right? So you don't have to go into this, but yes, we can solve it using the Rolle's theorem as well as we have done here. So in both the questions we have done, the first one and this one as well. So the next question is an, this is x raised to the power n, an minus 1, x raised to the power n minus 1, and so on, a1x equals 0, a1 not equal to 0, and n is greater than or equal to 2. This equation has a positive root x equals alpha. Then we have to find out, then it is given that this equation n into an into x raised to the power n minus 1 and so on plus a1 equals 0 has a positive root, which is, बस हमको बताना है क्या इक्वल टू अल्फा होगा, रिलेशन बिटवीन दैट रूट एंड अल्फा हमको बताना है. So in this case, the important thing to observe is basically, let us assume this function is fx. So f of alpha equal to 0, that is given to us, and we have to, this is the derivative of this function. So f dash alpha, f dash x. So what is given to us is f, we have to find out some information about the root of f dash x, because this entire expression is f dash x. F of alpha equals 0, and from the function you can clearly observe that you have f of 0 also equals 0. So f of alpha equals 0 and f of 0 is also equal to 0, and you also know that has a positive root alpha, so alpha is greater than 0. So now this is the derivative. So according to the Rolle's theorem, the derivative will be 0, or you can say f dash c will be equal to 0 for c lying between 0 and alpha, because alpha is positive, right? So this root is lying between 0 and alpha, so it has to be less than alpha, of course. Okay, so just the simple application of the Rolle's theorem, and this has already been asked in IIT-JEE, this question as well as this question. Both the questions has already been asked in IIT-JEE. So the simple application of the Rolle's theorem, and if you know the basics, you can easily solve these questions. If 2a plus 3b plus 6 times c equals 0, and there is one more information that a, b, c belongs to R, then the equation ax square plus bx plus c equals 0 has options हैं आपके पास. First option is at least one root, at least one root in 0 to 1. Option B is at least one root in 2 to 3, and then at least one root in 4 to 5. D option भी है, none of these. So 2a plus 3b plus 6 equals 0, and this equation has roots. So we have already discussed in the first question that if you do not have any hint what to do, it is talking about the roots of this equation. It is talking about the roots of this equation. Rolle's theorem talks about the root of the derivative. So basically, this is the derivative given. F dash x equals ax square plus bx plus c. So we have f of x ax cube by 3 plus bx square by 2 plus cx. Now we will not be introducing any constant because it is up to us. We can take any function that we like, right? Now cx. This is the function fx, derivative is this. Now clearly, if you try to see that here f of 0 is absolutely 0, 0, 0, 0, right? Now let us try to find out what is this given, right? You can, what you can do is you can multiply, you can divide this equation by 6. So once you divide this equation by 6, you will get a by 3 plus b by 2 plus c equals 0, right? Which is nothing but f of 1. So f of 1 is 0. So f of 0 is 0, f of 1 is 0. So this is the apt condition for applying the Rolle's theorem, f of a equals f of b. So we'll say that there will be a c for which f dash c equals 0, right? Which is this, right? So it implies that this will have at least one root in the interval a to b, and a to b is 0 to 1, right? So in this interval, we will be having one root of this function, which is the derivative f dash c. So this is what we can take help of the Rolle's theorem, where we are not given the function, but we have integrated and we have found out the function, then we have applied the Rolle's theorem in this. This is what somewhat we did in the first question that we did. So now let us try to solve one more question. Fx and gx are two differentiable functions on 0 to 2 such that f double dash x minus g double dash x equals 0, f dash 1 equals 2 times g dash 1, that is equal to 4, f of 2 equals 3 times g of 2 equals 9. So we have to find out fx minus gx at x equal to 3 by 2. Basically f of 3 by 2 minus g of 3 by 2. In this case, we have f double dash x equals g double dash x. So we can integrate this. So we'll have f dash x equals g dash x. एक कांस्टेंट भी आएगा यहाँ पे because we are integrating. कांस्टेंट नहीं लिखेंगे तो we'll have f dash x equals g dash x, which will violate this condition, of course. Now this we know, f dash 1 equals the relation we know. So we substitute x equals 1. So f dash 1 equals g dash 1 plus c. Now f dash 1 is 4, g dash 1 equals 2 from this. So 4 minus 2 equals c. You have the value of c now. So now we have f dash x equals g dash x plus 2. Integrate this again. We will have fx equals gx plus, here we have in place of c we have now 2. So this will be 2x, and there will be some other constants, let us say c dash. Now we'll try to utilize this condition. So which is f of 2 equals g of 2 plus 4 plus c dash. Now f of 2 is 9 minus g of 2 is 3, which will be equal to 4 plus c dash. C dash is equal to 9 minus 3 is 5, 5 minus 4 is 1. So basically you have fx equals, this is 9 minus 3, okay fine, 6 minus 4, that is 1. So c dash is 2, absolutely correct. So here we have c dash as 2. So finally we have fx minus gx using this equation. Fx minus gx is equal to 2 times x plus c dash, which is 2. So you just have to find out the value of this at x equal to 3 by 2. So 2 into 3 by 2 plus 2, that is going to be 5. This is the answer. बहुत ही सिंपल क्वेश्चन था, बहुत ही बेसिक क्वेश्चन है, राइट? यू जस्ट हैव टू इंटीग्रेट, कीप ऑन इंटीग्रेटिंग एंड फाइंडिंग आउट द वैल्यू, एंड दिस वाज ऑलरेडी बीन आस्क्ड इन IIT JEE. So ये भी पूछा जा चुका है क्वेश्चन. So here we have seen that how these rules, or how this Rolle's theorem is being applied in the questions, and these questions has already been asked in the IIT JEE, right? And we just have to think that in the first question that we did, that Rolle's theorem talks about for at least one root, right? But in the other way, we had also find out that what we can do in the case of exactly one root in that case, right? So we'll have to explore all the options that are available. And do remember the thing that whenever you are asked about a root, so in most of the cases, whenever you are given that the roots of this equation are at least this and that, so in most of the cases, that is basically the derivative, right? Because the Rolle's theorem talks about the derivative of the function. So that equation is itself the derivative. You integrate that and find out the function, right? This is what we have seen in a couple of questions as well. So the last 3 or 4 questions has already been asked in ITG. So you will have the idea that what kind of questions being asked. Now what you do is you just try to solve the material whatever you have, or basically you can do for the Rolle's theorem, you can till the part that we have covered for the AOD, you just try to solve the question for the previous years, right? So that you know where you stand and what extra that you need to do, right? So in the next class, we'll try to do the LMVT. So we'll come up with the LMVT, and we'll also try to solve the similar questions. So the applications are similar. The only difference is we'll discuss that in the next class, right? So all of you, bye-bye and take care till then.